Diddy once stood at the top of the world, his music dominated clubs and radio, his name echoed through every red carpet event, and his image symbolized the ultimate definition of power, fame, and success. But now that same name carries a different kind of weight, a silence that echoes louder than applause. Reports claim that after his conviction, the people he once called family, Mariah Carey, Justin Bieber, and Clive Davis, have all disappeared from his circle, leaving him with nothing but memories and a long list of unanswered calls. Sources close to him say Diddy was so sure that his legal team would get him released that he planned a nationwide comeback tour in advance. He wanted to celebrate his so-called freedom with Young Miami beside him on stage, showing the world that he was still untouchable. But those plans fell apart the moment reality hit, and the cell door closed. Diddy's story feels like a lesson in how fame changes everything. When you are rising, everyone wants to be close, but when you fall, everyone vanishes. The Diddy who once set trends and sold out arenas now watches as even his strongest connections go quiet. His marketing genius that once ruled the 2000s no longer connects with a generation that values truth over image. And since Cassie walked away, that shine has never truly returned. His creative ideas, like the Yams era, felt forced, disconnected from the real culture. And while he tried to use Young Miami's influence to stay relevant, that too started to look like an old man chasing a legacy that had already ended. What hurts most, sources say, is not the conviction, but the realization that people he helped build up are now choosing distance. Mariah Carey, for example, has every reason to protect her name. She has fought her own battles to stay respected in an industry that loves drama. She is not about to throw away her peace for someone else's chaos. And Justin Bieber, who once looked up to Diddy as a mentor, has learned through hard experience that silence is the strongest shield. It is not betrayal, it is survival. And as for Clive Davis, the man who opened many doors for Diddy, he has quietly stepped aside, refusing to even speak on the matter. His silence says everything that words never could. Diddy's downfall shows the fragile foundation of celebrity friendship. People cheer when they toast your success, they call you family, but the moment you stumble, they fade into the background, pretending they never knew your name. Even the few who still visit or take his calls, insiders say, are doing so out of fear or old obligation, not love, not loyalty, just habit. Young Miami is said to be the only one still publicly supporting him, but even that loyalty might come with strategy. She is young, popular, and influential, and she knows that aligning with him could later translate into control over his narrative when, or if he tries a comeback. Diddy has always been a master at turning controversy into opportunity, and he might see her as his last chance to re-enter the spotlight. But this time things feel different, because his image has crossed the line from scandal to stigma. The industry that once revolved around him now avoids him. His name no longer opens doors, it closes them behind him. What was once luxury and laughter has turned into isolation and calculation. Insiders describe him as restless, pacing, thinking, replaying every decision that led him here, maybe even wondering at what point the empire started to crack, because for years Diddy believed he could control every story, every headline, and every person around him. Now the same power has turned to dust. His social circle, once filled with legends, now looks empty. His old friends are either quiet or cutting ties, while new faces online mock the fall of a man they once feared. Even the media that used to celebrate his events now analyze his silence, his heartbreak, and his mistakes. Diddy is reportedly heartbroken, not because of the judgment itself, but because the phone stopped ringing, because those names that once called him brother are nowhere to be found in the music world. Silence is never neutral. Silence means rejection. It means protect yourself. It means the brand is too dangerous to touch. And that is exactly what Diddy has become in the eyes of the industry. Radioactive. The strange part is that Diddy, of all people, knows how this works. He has done it to others when they fell out of favor. He distanced himself too. Now he is the one on the other side, feeling the sting of the same machine. He once controlled. The story of Sean Combs is no longer about money, fame, or music. It is about consequences and how quickly loyalty fades when the cameras stop flashing. He may still dream of rebuilding with Young Miami by his side, walking red carpets, smiling for the flash, hoping people forget. But deep down, even he must know that some doors never reopen. When you lose trust at this level, no amount of money can buy it back. And maybe that is the part that hurts the most, the realization that after decades of building an empire, what's left is just echoes of applause from a world that has already moved on. Diddy is not just dealing with a legal fight, he is dealing with silence, the kind of silence that reminds you who was real and who was there for the ride. And if this is truly his fall from grace, then maybe it is also the moment the man who built legends finally understands what it means to be left behind by the very system he helped create. Fame gave him everything, but it never promised to stay forever. And now, as the lights dim, and the world watches from a distance. Diddy stands alone, a reminder that in the end no one is immune to the consequences of their own story. Diddy once had everything that a man could dream of: fame, money, respect, power, and an image that ruled the entire entertainment world. His name alone could fill arenas, his word could launch careers, and his presence could change the course of an artist's life. He lived like a king, surrounded by luxury cars, private jets, and the constant attention of fans and celebrities alike. But today that same name carries silence, a silence that feels heavier than a prison cell, because silence in the celebrity world means you've been erased from the conversation. Reports say that after the conviction, the calls stopped, the texts stopped, and the people who once called him brother suddenly had no words for him. Mariah Carey, Justin Bieber, and Clive Davis, the same names once linked to Diddy's rise, are now nowhere to be seen. Insiders describe it as the ultimate Hollywood ghosting, the moment when fame reveals who was real and who was just passing time. It's said that Diddy truly believed he would walk free. He trusted his lawyers, he trusted his influence, he thought he could still shape the story like he always had. Sources say he even booked venues and made quiet plans for a comeback tour, a celebration of victory, a reminder that he was still the man who could turn chaos into a headline and scandal into profit. He had dreams of performing with Young Miami, standing beside him, the cameras flashing, the crowd cheering as he reclaimed the stage that once belonged to him. But the reality hit hard. The music stopped, the phone calls ended, and the people who helped build his empire began walking away one by one. The same people who once danced in his parties, smiled for his cameras, and called him a legend were now acting like they never knew him. For years Diddy was untouchable. He knew every trick in the book of fame: how to reinvent himself, how to control attention, how to use shock and glamour to keep the world watching. But somewhere along the line that magic broke. The world changed, the internet changed. And the new generation no longer saw him as the symbol of success. They saw him as a shadow of an era that had ended after Cassie left. His image started to fade, not just musically, but emotionally too. People saw through the flash and started asking questions about what was really going on behind those private parties and secret deals. And now, when everything is falling apart, the same machine that helped him rise is the one letting him fall in silence. Mariah Carey has always been careful about her public image. She doesn't speak on drama, she doesn't involve herself in mess. And for her to even acknowledge Diddy right now would risk everything she's built for decades. She has her kids, her legacy, and her peace to protect. She has no reason to step into a storm that isn't hers, and she won't. Justin Bieber's story is different, but just as telling. He once looked up to Diddy. He was young, new to fame, and surrounded by people much older and more powerful. But time changes everything. Justin has learned the hard way that not everyone who calls you family means it. He's been through his own battles with the media and with fame, so now he knows when to stay quiet and when to step back. His silence isn't cruelty, it's wisdom. It's the kind of silence that says, I've learned my lesson. And then there's Clive Davis, the music legend who helped shape Diddy's early years. He's seen stars rise and fall. He knows how quickly an image can turn toxic. When asked about Diddy, he simply avoided the topic, pretending not to know what was going on. That kind of silence is powerful. It's not ignorance, it's distance. It's the industry's way of saying, this is your storm, and we won't drown with you. Insiders say Clive's withdrawal was one of the biggest emotional blows for Diddy, because he saw Clive as someone who would always be in his corner. But that's the thing about Hollywood, no corner is safe. When the headlines get dark, the truth is Diddy's life right now feels like a mirror reflecting the same lessons he once ignored. Fame is built on fragile friendships. People love you as long as you're shining, as long as your name brings attention and opportunities. But the moment you stumble, they disappear. The ones who truly cared were few and far between. The rest were there for the parties, the power, and the profit. And when those things vanished, so did they. Young Miami remains one of the few still standing by him. But even that has people talking. Some call it loyalty, some call it strategy, because she knows being close to him gives her control over his story. When he tries to rebuild, if he ever does, Diddy has always used image to survive every scandal. But this time it feels different, because this isn't about bad press, it's about trust being broken in a way that can't be repaired. Inside sources describe him as restless and emotional, pacing at night, thinking about what went wrong and who betrayed him. The people he once helped are nowhere to be found. The friends he thought he could count on have gone quiet. He's reportedly angry at the lawyers who promised him freedom and at the media that turned on him, but deep down he knows that this isn't just a legal battle, it's the price of years of silence and control coming back around. For decades, Diddy shaped narratives, controlled what people saw, what they heard, what they believed. But now, for the first time, he doesn't get to control the story. The world is writing it for him. The sad reality is that many in Hollywood aren't surprised. They've seen this pattern before the bigger the star, the louder the fall. People in the industry whisper about how quickly everyone distanced themselves from him, not because they hated him, but because his name became too risky to say out loud. Sponsors cut ties, collaborators deleted pictures, and old friends unfollowed. It's the kind of slow erasure that happens quietly, but completely. 1 week you're everywhere, the next week you're a warning story. Meanwhile, Diddy is left clinging to what remains of his circle, a few loyal employees, a handful of online defenders, and young Miami, who still posts messages that hint at support. It's not the empire he once had, it's a shell of what used to be. And maybe that's what hurts the most, the realization that the love was never real, that it was all business, all branding, all temporary. Fame gave him millions, but not the kind of loyalty that survives when everything falls apart. Even those who once called him mentor are silent, not because they're cruel, but because they've seen enough to know when to walk away. Some insiders believe that Diddy is already planning his next move, that he's quietly strategizing how to rebuild when the time comes. He's done it before. After every controversy, he's always found a way to spin the narrative. But this time the damage feels deeper. The world has changed. People are no longer quick to forgive. They want truth, they want accountability, and the image of the invincible mogul doesn't work anymore. People want humility, something Diddy has rarely shown, but maybe that's what's next. Maybe the silence will force him to look inward for the first time in years, because at the end of the day, when the parties stop, the lights fade, and the crowds disappear, what's left is the person underneath all of it, the one who has to face himself when no one else is watching. Diddy's fall isn't just about a case, it's about ego, it's about how power isolates you, how fame tricks you into thinking you'll never need anyone, and how quickly everything can crumble when you start believing your own myth. He built an empire, but forgot to build a foundation strong enough to hold it when the storm came, and now the people he once helped build are the same people turning their backs, not out of hate, but out of self-preservation. In the world of fame, silence is the loudest message, and right now that silence is surrounding Diddy from every direction. Maybe in time he'll try to rebuild. Maybe he'll release a book or documentary, or a comeback album, but even if he does, it will never feel the same, because once the illusion of power breaks, it can't be put back together the way it was before. His name might return to headlines, but the trust, the respect, the fear, the aura, those are gone for good. Diddy has always called himself a survivor, but this time survival will look different. No more flashing lights, no more roaring crowds, just quiet lessons learned in the dark when nobody is there to clap anymore. And maybe that's what real reflection looks like, when you finally see the truth without the noise.